our next BLT talk actually will be our staff person, Kyle Wichtendahl, will be speaking on the Gettysburg campaign in Carroll County. So that should be really interesting. Can we have a round of applause for today's BLT sponsor, Axe Fairhaven? And we've asked Kevin Jones to come up to say a few words and greet everyone.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to take this opportunity to thank Laura and Jason for allowing us to come out. We love seeing you guys and being here with you guys. I see some familiar faces and some new faces as well. But I just wanted to announce really quickly that monthly we have a Lunch and Learn, and this month, next week on the 27th, we have a retirement life seminar. So if you're confused about the different options for living, we have a program to help you understand those options and to introduce you to Axe Life Care. This is a comprehensive plan that guards your estate and provides you access to long-term care at prearranged costs. So it's next week, it's the 27th. It will give you opportunity to come out and see Axe, look at some of the homes, as well as lunch will be provided. So if that's something that you're interested in, please see me after the program, and I can give you information on that. And if you can't make it out, please stop by anyway. We have them monthly, so I can get you information on future ones. And we just have information there regardless, just on Axe, or if you want to say hi, I'll be there as well. So thank you guys. Enjoy the program.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you. Thank you. Before I introduce Mr. Brown, I wanted to say, if you are not currently a Historical Society member, we're running a promotion during our strategic planning cycle for 3 years. If you go online and you join as a member, you can get half off on your membership to join the Historical Society. So that's a great deal. There's a little promo box where you put the word Strategic Action Plan, and you can join the Historical Society half off, and that's half off for all of the family individual memberships. So keep that in mind if you're not yet a Historical Society member. So I'm really thrilled to introduce to you Mr. William Brown. We call him Bill. But William Brown, a resident of Maryland most of his life, received his bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Baltimore, has done graduate studies in administration at Loyola College, Baltimore. He is an entrepreneur who's founded 7 successful businesses over the past 45 years. Most recently, he co-founded Quantum Internet and Telephone Services of Manchester, Maryland, a leading internet and telephone provider in the Baltimore area. As chairman of Quantum, Bill has gained extensive practical and technical knowledge and experience of the telecommunications industry and communications technology. His previous experience in the real estate development and property management field included Vice President, Director of Construction and Engineering for Home Properties of Rochester, New York, a large publicly traded real estate investment trust. In this capacity, he was responsible for capital projects that included the acquisition, sale, construction of multifamily communities for portfolios valued at approximately $3 billion. And before I ask Bill to come to the podium, I have to also give a shout out to his amazing partner wife, Johanna Brown, who's here with us. And she is involved with the Historical Society as much as Bill is. We love you both. Thank you so much for everything that you do for the community and for the Historical Society. And with that, can we have a warm round of applause for Bill?
Hello, everyone. Glad you're all here. I always wondered if I was going to be in business when I was young. And the funny part of it is that I started in 1956 to 1960. I worked as a private contractor for my dad. He was in the big business, construction business. And I was 12 to 16 years old when I started doing painting. And that sort of started me off with the idea of having a business. And a few years later, I made firearm repairs. I made rifle stocks. And I reblued the metal surfaces. A few years after that, I got into the coin and stamp business with a friend of mine. And for several years, actually about 5 years, we did a lot of coin and stamp business. But then I got involved with a company called the Siegel Organization. And it was an apartment community, had about 3,000 apartment units in the Baltimore area, and about 10 to 15 small communities. I was executive vice president, and I managed the business there, and it was just a lot of great experience. And I did that for 25 years. And the owner of the company, Herb Siegel, wanted to retire, and we started looking for people to buy us. And it took us a year of meeting all kinds of companies that wanted to buy us. And the thing that was really bothering us was they didn't seem like they were the same kind of business we had. Our business was a family business, and everyone was treated like family. And we also treated our customers, the people who lived in our apartments, we treated them like family. And finally we found a company owned by the Leanhouse brothers at the time, and it was called Home Properties. They had tens of thousands of units, and we made a deal with them, and all the employees in our Siegel organization went with the Home Properties company. And what was so neat about this company, it was a public company. What was so neat about it is that they were a family business. And here they already had about 45,000 units and a couple hundred communities. Pretty much all, well, it was Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, New York, New Jersey, Ohio, and Florida. That's where we had all the properties. And one of the things that I did, I traveled everywhere almost every week. I was vice president of engineering construction, and we remodeled all the old properties we bought. We built a lot of new properties from scratch, and it was just an amazing experience. That in 2016, Home Properties got bought out, and got bought out for $7.5 billion. And the guy who bought us out, a single person, was someone who had all kinds of businesses around the world, and he only had a couple of apartment communities. And he told us he was going to be, that our company was going to be the management of the apartment business. Well, we found out a few months later he was lying. He decided he wanted to sell all the apartments, and so we all got upset. It's just one of those things. We didn't know till maybe a few months into the deal that he was lying to us. But he bought the property, the company, the Home Properties, for about $7.5 billion, and then over time, over 3 or 4 or 5 years, he sold it for a total of $10 billion. And everybody was upset. All of my former friends and employees of the business were all upset because they couldn't find companies that were like family-run businesses. And that was the key. And one of the things that I learned that was best about having any business, you treat people like family. You treat them nicely. And that is the way you make your business really work better. And over the years, I did more than one business. I had my son and my wife did a lot of things, and we had some other small businesses. We had BJ Corvette Supplies for about 5 years, from '78 to '83, and I had restored Corvettes. And I had a friend I don't know how many people have heard of Jeff Barnes Chevrolet. Okay, Jeff Barnes was my friend, and of course he passed away a number of years ago, and the business got sold out too. But he let me have the old parts for Corvettes because I specialized in a 63, 67 model, and he gave them to me at his cost. And so for about 5 years, we had the Corvette business, and I had parts manufactured that were no longer available for that particular model year of 63 to 67. And we did a lot of traveling around the country to go to car shows. And Johanna was pretty much in charge of a lot of stuff because she handled all the sales, the mailing, and all that kind of stuff, and advertising. And of course, at the time, I'm still in my other business. But that was a lot of fun, and I love Corvettes. But my 1983 model that I had was the last Corvette I had, and it was the seat was so low, it was below the sill, and my back started to hurt. And so I had it for about 2 weeks, and then I took it back to Jeff Barnes, and said, "Here, take it back. It's killing my back." And what was so strange was, within 2 weeks later, 2 of his employees took the car for a ride on a back road somewhere, and they flipped it, and they ruined it, totally destroyed it. They were okay. It's amazing. They were okay. And so I thought to myself, you know, that's good for that car, because I hate that car. It wasn't like all the other ones I had. But anyway, so that was very interesting. But there again, here's another example of a business that was operated like a family business. As big as they were and as much as they sold, you know, they were just nice. Everybody was nice. And the family was involved in the business too, but everybody they had there, they treated like family. But then, next thing that happened was, we decided we wanted to buy Cascade Lake. And it was kind of interesting because it was one of these things where it was cheap too at the time. Think about the dollars in the 80s versus dollars now, you know, big difference. And so we bought the lake and we remodeled it totally. And I'm going to show you a lot of photos about that. Because that was one of the most fun businesses we had. Because the kids were all 3 of our kids were alive and nice little kids now, and they all had fun. And so it was just a lot of fun. But how many of you all have been to Cascade Lake in the past? That's great. That's great. You might have been there when we were there because we owned it from 83 to 89. And so we'll show you some things here. Get this little tool turned on here. Okay. This is the main house that we totally remodeled. Well, actually, we remodeled everything there. We rebuilt everything there pretty much. And here's how the new house looked. And we added that back area to it too. So it was really nice. And then we also had another house on the property that we remodeled, and that one we rented out. We had a lot of buildings down by the lake, and we had to remodel those. The only thing we didn't remodel was the mill building. It was really, really in rough shape. We cleaned it up and all that, but it was fine. We didn't really do anything with it, but clean it up. And one thing we had to do, we had to build that beach back. It had pretty much gone away. We had tons and tons and tons of sand we brought to that beach to rebuild it. And we also replaced and rebuilt all the decks that were there and the buildings that were down there too. Here's an example. There's an example of how it was when we owned it. Now, it was different over the next few years after we sold it. But, so we rebuilt all that stuff. And now that's how it looked in the last 10 years, let's say. It's all gone now. Here's the dam break on the right-hand corner there, okay? And that was the area that was designed for overflow. And one of the things the first things that I had to do when we had bought the lake had 4 or 5 leaks in it. So what we did, I brought in tons of dirt. I put on the water side of the dam, and I stopped all the leaks. And then also I did some repairs on the overflow area there, and everything was fine. We never really had any problems. We got everything remodeled in less than a year. And one of the things that I had was a Amish person that I met, ended up being a great friend of mine, and my first time I ever dealt with Amish people, and they were just wonderful. And when they finished all the remodeling, we had a party. They brought 30 people from their family at least, and to have a nice day, a nice weekend. And we had a whole bunch of babies in our house, and that was so much fun to see this. It was just great. And they were all just fantastically nice, just fantastically nice. So anyway, this is what happened in 2018. One of the things that I tried to do, I was told about the dam breach, and I went over and checked it all out, and I saw what caused it. You had to maintain the top of the dam with your grass always in good condition, and it had a you can't see it was removed. It had a fence line that ran across the entire length of the dam, and you had to make sure that nothing around the post got damaged because of weather and water and all that. Well, the one right next to the discharge area there on the right wasn't maintained, and I think that's what started the breach. Because as the water rose, it hit this spot where there was no grass, and it just kept digging and digging into it until finally it knocked the breach apart, pretty much. Well, actually next to the breach, because part of the breach is over on the right, that's concrete. So that was a shame, because we sold it when we sold the lake in '89, it was to the people who were going to sell it, who were salespeople, and they decided to buy it. They were real estate salespeople, and they decided to buy it. And they only had it for a few years, and they couldn't get there enough. They didn't want to live there to maintain everything. And I told them in the very beginning, you better maintain it. Well, they sold it to somebody else, and they had it for until it damaged in 2018. And so that was the problem. The top of that dam wasn't maintained properly. When I heard this, I went out there and I started talking to the county and state people who were there. And I wanted to try to encourage them to allow this to be rebuilt, but they wouldn't. And Cascade Lake Dam was the one of 2 stone and earth dams left in Maryland when we bought it. And I guess they were just afraid of it being maintained properly in the future, whatever, I don't know. But they made them tear it down. So now it's totally gone, okay? All you have there now is basically the stream that used to feed it with water. And that was really a shame. Now that's a really good shot of the break, but that could have been fixed. I mean, it could have been fixed. And it's just a shame that they didn't want to do it. And replacing the dam, when it happened, if they allowed it, would have been millions of dollars. They couldn't have done it for any small amount of money. So anyway, anybody have any questions about Cascade Lake? during the time we owned, well, at the end of owning Cascade Lake, my son had been involved in the beginning of what you might want to call the internet, but it wasn't the internet. And we started a company called Software Mania in Timonium, Maryland, which was going to be a company that would sell all kinds of programs for computers and would build computers. And my son, who was still very, very young, he was 12 to 14 years old, 15 years old, and he was building these things. And the thing that was interesting, in 1995, he got involved with, my son's name is Kevin, by the way. He got involved with the FighterNet company, which was the only company at the time that had a worldwide, well, the beginning of a worldwide program that you could post your mail publicly, and that's how it worked.
What year was this?
Software Mania, FighterNet company was sometime in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And it started off with having I think they had about 6,000 relay points around the United States. And that's what my son got involved in. So that means that relay point was for local people who would post their messages on this public email kind of program, okay? And so that's what kind of started our business, because we ended up with at the time, we had our house at Water Tank Road, and we started off with one employee and my wife and my son, and we did this business in the basement of our house. And then over time, we had 5 employees there. Now we're running out of room, it's crazy. And so we ended up, one of the things my son did, Verizon had supplied us with all of the copper we needed, but then they ran out of it. They didn't have any more for us. We couldn't expand our customers, take care of more customers. And so that's when my son had a friend who had a central office in Baltimore, and we started moving things there. And that helped us solve the problem of not being able to get any more copper circuits there. But then we had these 5 employees. We got tired of all of that. We said, okay, let's go get us a building. So then we in '95 we purchased the building we have there in Manchester, in the on Manchester Road there, 27. There's an office park there, and so we went ahead and bought the building, and then we started off with dial-up internet. How many of you had dial-up internet? Almost everybody had something, and that was just copper. It was very slow. Then we had DSL, which is still copper. They called it a digital subscriber line, and what we were able to do a lot of times is put copper together more than one piece at a time, and that would give us a little bit more speed. We called that bonded, that we just had a lot of customers, and over time, when we became aware of the fiber and figured out how great that was and how fast it could be, we started that. And so over the many years, we started the company in '95. It's 30 years we've been in the business now, and so we started the fiber with internet and telephone. We also did wireless and telephone. And the thing that was so great is that we went from these very small 5 to 15 or 20 megs of service to up to a gig if you wanted it, okay? And today we even have, we have 2 gigs as a maximum we're selling right now. We could actually do more. It really was amazing. And the thing that all the things I learned in the past about a family business, that's the way we ran our company. And it's been the best thing we could have ever done. For anybody who wants to start a business, be in a business, if you can make it a family business and you treat everybody like family, you will have a good business and you will have a lot of fun. Now, in 2023, we started installing fiber in rural Carroll County, the western side of Carroll County, because we got a lot of state and county grants to build out all these rural areas. And what was so very interesting is that most of these people in rural areas didn't have any service at all. If they had anything, it may have been cell phone, if they were close enough to the the towers that would give them a decent service. But it was surprising how we run into people all the time who haven't had any service for the entire time they've lived there, So it's been really good. We feel really great about this. This is a whole process with the grants. The grants are going to be over by the end of next year. So we should have everything done by then. But it's been very interesting, and it's just wonderful to be able to bring people service. And so that's where you are right now. And again, family-run business is a way to do it. It really is. And so, any questions? Yes?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Bill, because obviously trying to sell a house with no internet connection is like trying to sell a house with no plumbing. It's impossible now.
That's a very good point, because we've known for a number of years, and we have bought houses, if we couldn't find with internet capability, we didn't buy them. And a lot of people do that. So when you have fiber going to your house, which is the best thing you can have, it will make you easier to sell your house, and you'll get some more money for it too. That's a thing to keep in mind, because that's really true. And my oldest daughter was a good example of that. She looked for a house she wanted with a little bit of a farm on it for years. Well, 2 years maybe she was looking, and finally found one that had Comcast, and she bought that one. She didn't buy any of the other ones that she looked at, and they were all nice looking homes she was looking at, but she didn't do it because they didn't have internet. So that's very true. Any more questions about anything? Yes, ma'am.
I just recently found out that landlines are being discontinued if you don't have internet in your home. Can you explain why?
Okay, here's what's happening. It's just started several years ago. I wouldn't say that not all companies are going to be doing this quickly, but Verizon is a major company in this area, okay? And they stopped. Now, we've been a Verizon partner for 20 years at least, and they stopped doing repairs to fiber problems, to copper problems, if they didn't have extra copper circuit there. So a lot of times, several years ago, they would just stop fixing ones if they didn't have the circuit sitting there to change it out. If they had, 4 or 5 or 6, lines there, they could swap them out. But if it didn't work, that was it. They wouldn't give any service there. And so that went on for a while. It wasn't too bad. But then they said, okay, we're retiring the copper. And so now, since, last few months, we finally had to take about 600 customers that have copper circuits and get them moved over to fiber if they can get the fiber, or wireless, and get the wireless, because Verizon is canceling all copper circuits now, okay, in our area. And that's just the way it is. In other states, there are companies doing the same thing, but sometimes they may be going longer. I mean, you know, we knew that Verizon was going to do this for many years, but until just recently, they said, okay, we're canceling it. And so we've had a big job of trying to figure out how to get everything taken care of. And a large number of those customers we actually going to lose because there's no fiber close to it to give them service. And the thing about the fiber is, it is the best kind of circuit you could have, okay? Not only the extra speed that you get out of it, it's just the fact that they're very reliable, very reliable. And it's better than wireless, although sometimes wireless is good too if you're close enough to a location that's got the transmission in it and the tower, then that's okay too, but still not as good as fiber. So if you need fiber, you should try to figure out how to get it sooner or later. Another question somebody had?
Man, here you go. Can you take the mic?
Thanks. 2 questions, Bill. First of all, how do these people get fiber? Are you still putting it in with grants, whatever? And 2, tell us about the tremendous impact of data centers and all of the power that's going to be needed for that, and how do you see that impacting the internet or IT business, if you will?
Well, that's a hard question to answer. I don't have a good answer for that. But the way to get fiber is, first of all, we use Carroll County fiber backbone. It really helps because it's out in places where we wouldn't necessarily have our own backbone fiber. We have backbone fiber too that we've installed ourselves. And so a lot of times what we can do, we can come from the county fiber and go into side roads and so forth. And that's really what's happening in the rural areas. We can, as long as the main backbone for the fiber is there from the county, then we can do that. And even we have Verizon some places that we can use their fiber too, but we're still a Verizon partner. And the thing, you know, it's very expensive to bring it to some place, because right now, for example, every place we're going in western Carroll County is underground. We still haven't done any aerial yet, and aerial is cheaper than underground, but you got to have telephone poles everywhere to make that work. And we have a lot of that in certain areas. You know, we have it in Westminster, we have it in Hampstead. You know, where we do have mostly aerial, but the western Carroll County is all underground so far, and we've gone through hundreds and hundreds of residents now. So, yep. So that's about it in a nutshell. Any more questions?
Anyone? Bill, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you, is this entrepreneurial spirit, does it run in your family, grandmothers, grandfathers? What, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yes. It's a family business. So I'm the chairman of the board. Johanna is the management director, and my son's the president. And one of my daughters is a designer of advertising. So we're still in it. And so who knows, you know, probably another 30 years. Not for me though, because I'm 18 years old now. Reverse your number, you'll feel younger.
Anyone else?
Okay, any more questions?
Thank you very much.
Wait, I got one more thing.
One
I
more.
forgot. That's our website. Okay? And you go to that website, it's qis.net. There's a lot of stuff to read. But you'll see there that we are offering only fiber, wherever we can get it. And you can sign in and see, put your address in there, that little spot here, lower right-hand side, fast fiber internet. You click on that and you get an opportunity to put your address in and see if you have a chance of getting fiber. And sometimes, even if you don't, you got to call us because we may be able to do it. Yes.
Can fiber provide all of the gigabytes or whatever that anyone could possibly need? I mean, how big can we scale this up? Hospitals or something?
Yes. We haven't had anybody yet who needed more than 2 gigs. Even 1 gig, which is the most common high speed, is fine for anything, you know. And the thing about fiber is it's all a direct connection, basically. It's not like all the stuff that Verizon has done for years in the copper side, and even Comcast, where they don't have, there's not enough bandwidth for the circuit to be direct to each of these locations. But the fiber allows you to do that, okay? And the other thing about fiber, different from all the other things that are copper, including Comcast, Comcast has put fiber in somewhere, but not very many places. But the fact that the circuit is the same speed in both directions, up or down. Whereas, like for example, I have Comcast in Hanover, at our house in Hanover, and I pay for a gig of service. Well, guess what? The upload speed is no more than 50 megs. And the download speed is usually somewhere around 600 to 700 megs. So it's a gig service that's wrong, doesn't work, because it's not fiber, okay? And sometimes the speed is really less up and down because other people are using it at the same time. But with fiber, you don't have that problem in most cases, okay? Because the fiber is big enough to handle multiple connections. But, you know, we've never had a problem with the fiber, you know, being slow. It's always been fast, and that's the way to do it. So. Okay, what else? Any more questions?
Thank you again, Bill, very much.
Well, thank you all very much.